All right. Hey, everybody. This is about wage. Go ahead. I want to address this because recently I've gotten a few emails from clients about wage garnishments. You know, how do you get rid of them? And before I can even address how to, that's why I titled this video, how to avoid them and what you need to do to get rid of them. So I am going to talk about um, how to get rid of wage garnishments and how do you get them. But I want to start off with understanding how the wage garnishment actually happened. And I'm going to dig a little deeper. I'm not going to talk surface talk. You know, surface conversation about wage garnishments would be, oh, I have a debt. Oh, it needed to be paid and I didn't pay it. And they took my paycheck. It gets a little deeper than that. So basically, the reason why it gets a little deeper than that, because you have to understand the relationship with your credit and debt collectors. And a lot of people do not understand how the debt collection process works, how dealing with debt collectors work. Because there are so many areas of credit. And when people may talk about credit, you don't know what area they're talking about. And I always like to break down understanding creditors is to understand how information is broken up into your credit report. You have what is your current debts. Those are the debts that you are paying on that are due in 30 days. Those are current debts. You pay those, you pay them on time. Then you have what are due or past due debts. Those are debts that are past the 30-day mark. A lot of times they're between 45 and 90 days. And then you have what is called charged off debts. And those are debts that are past the 120-day mark. The original creditor, I'm not going to go into this conversation of what's original creditor, what's a debt collector. I have videos for that. But basically, the original creditor no longer has that debt. And what they have did is they have sold that debt off to what is called a debt collector. In this video, I'm not going to go into how they're able to acquire it or what have you, but pretty much in a nutshell, the original creditor, the person that you signed the contractual agreement with, no longer has that debt. They've sold that debt off and a debt collector has purchased the debt. So now the debt collector has purchased the debt and now they are trying to get money from the debt. Now, in the past recent years, I say in the past 3 years, the whole debt collector conversation has really been mystified because now we have what is called debt buyers. And I kind of want to do a separate video on that because debt buyers, what they're now doing, and I've seen this on a lot of credit reports, is they are now considering themselves as the original creditor, as if they, even though they have purchased the debt, they're not collecting. Debt buyers are trying to say that they're not collecting the debt. They have purchased the debt is theirs, and now they want to put themselves in position to being the owner of the debt. And since they are the owner of the debt, they now want to consider themselves the original creditor. Now that's a whole nother conversation, is a whole nother topic I won't really touch on at this point. But I wanted to talk about it because I mentioned about the original creditor sold the debt and they sold it to a debt collector. And so one may ask, well, are they just collecting on the debt for the original creditor, or are they the actual owner of the credit? And that's why I said that conversation has really gotten very blurred, and it's a lot of case law on it, on how the understanding of that conversation works. Now, I know a lot of you all are waiting. Okay, when are you going to just talk about wage garnishments? Let me explain something what a lot of people do not know. I talk a lot and I share a lot of information because a lot of people do not know the understanding of stuff. There is so much remix stuff on YouTube, so much information of people just giving you a surface level conversation that I think that if I know it, I think I owe that person enough that if I'm going to talk about a topic, I'm going to go a little more deeper than someone who is just listening to what somebody said in another video, remixing it and giving it their own spin. So now going back to the wage garnishment. So now that the debt collector is now the one who possesses ownership of that debt, he or she, or should I say the company, came to the consumer, you being the debtor, and saying, pay me. Now we can go all down, the rabbit hole about how they did it and what they did and the tactics they used. And a lot of the tactics could have been illegal. You may be right. But what happened in that process was at a certain point, the debt collector saw that, this person isn't going to pay me. They're not going to give me their money. They're not going to pay me. So what I'm going to do is I am going to sue them. This is where the wage garnishment conversation really comes up. Because what a lot of consumers need to know, debtors, the person who owes the debt, is that a debt collector, any company, cannot just file paperwork with your payroll employer, levy your bank account, unless there is a legal process that takes place. And what takes place is a lawsuit. And so during the time that the debt collector tried to communicate and contact you, you was ignoring the debt collector. I'm not going to go into if you had the money, if you didn't have the money, did you know the law, did you know your rights, or what have you. At the end of the day, you got summons to go to court. Let me just touch on something right now. In regards to state law, every state is different when it comes to the rules of the law for that state. But the one thing is certain, that if any debt collector, debt buyer, wants to pursue you to collect payment by levying your bank account or garnishing your wages, they have to go to the courts. So what happens is that you were summoned to go to court. Now, I'm only going to speak in the law of New Jersey because every state is different. But within the state of New Jersey, you have, I think, a 45-day period to answer that summons. Now, let me just put a disclaimer out there. I am not an attorney, not giving advice about it, the law. If you feel like in your heart of hearts that you need to seek a consumer, I forget right now, consumer rights attorney, please do so. This video is for information purposes only. So with that being said, you got, in the state of New Jersey, you have 45 days to answer that summons. Now, when you answer this summons, you have to appear in court. Now, this is what's called, if you don't have an attorney, pro se. If you don't have an attorney, you did not hire a consumer rights attorney to help you, you are now going pro se. And what that means is that you are working on the benefit for yourself to fight the debt collector. Now, I have did this for myself. I can only speak on what I know. So I'm not remixing information I think I've heard. I have did this for myself, but I put a disclaimer. If you feel like you need an attorney, by all means, you get one. Do not watch one or two YouTube videos, mine or anyone else's, and feel like that you can now act as an attorney. When I did this, I was armed with a lot of information. This was before YouTube, so I actually spent time understanding how this information works. I say this all to say that you will appear in, when you have to appear in court after you answer that summons, you will get a document that tells you that you need to go to court. When you go to court, you will be with what is called an arbitrator, and he or she will discuss the case or what have you. Now that's if you know the law. And that's why I said part of this video is how to avoid it from happening. See, if you want to avoid it from happening, you have to do all the steps that I mentioned. You have to understand you got the summons. You have to answer the summons. You have to appear in court. And you have to sit with the arbitrator. And from there, a decision will be made. In my case, the debt collector did not have any proof to show that I own the debt. So with that being said, the debt didn't have to be paid. Of course, I'm giving you the abbreviated version. For those who did get and I know you're wondering, okay, Tallulah, you told me all this, you said a lot, yada, 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 yada. How does that help me? It helps you so you can avoid it from happening again, because it goes back to what I originally said. I want to tell you how you even got the wage garnishment, because a lot of people think things just happen. Like, oh snap, they're trying to garnish my wages. And I try to tell people, well, before that happened, this is what happened. And the reason why you need to know what happened previously that you got to this point, so you can avoid it happening again. Because how the saying goes, what you do not fix, you will face. So if you don't fix the matter, you're always going to face the matter. And this is where having credit education and credit knowledge comes in. Because there is no credit repair company going to tell you that. And if they are going to tell you the steps, what they are doing is they are acting as an attorney. And that is why I put the disclaimer out there. I am never trying to tell people this is what you need to do. If you feel like you need to get an attorney, by all means, get one. I felt confident enough to go pro se. But even outside of the whole getting an attorney, not getting an attorney, nobody's going to stop you in America from picking up a book and learning and understanding how it works. Because what you don't fix, you will face. And that is the benefit of having credit education versus, no, you just do it for me. So with that being said, so I talked about how did it happen? What can you do to get rid of it? How do you stop it? Now, there's two ways. You can contact the creditor and just say, hey, I see you garnishing my wages. I'm just going to pay it off. And of course, you want to have some paperwork in hand to make sure that what you two agreed about is the case. Feel like you need to get an attorney, by all means, get one. Another way is through bankruptcy. And in a bankruptcy case, the bankruptcy attorney will be able to stop any garnishment activity. And then, so when that happens, the creditor who is garnishing your wages now has to fall back, and the wage garnishment is lifted. The only person who can lift a wage garnishment is an attorney. I do not know if I know, like I said, maybe there's people who know the law well enough that they can lift the wage garnishment. The only way that I know that a layperson can lift the wage garnishment is just paying it off. Other than that, if you go another route, that is through bankruptcy. And so the reason why wage garnishments is a subject matter that's not commonly talked about is because it's not shown on a credit report. A person do not know when it happens until it happens. So a lot of times you may get a notice from the payroll department that may tell you, hey, we just got this letter saying that your wages are going to be garnished. Or sometimes you can just get your check and you be like, whoa, oh snap, what just happened? Now, let me just say this in terms of people that I personally know, and and when I say clients, I do know of times when people have got their wages garnished and it put them in oh, see, there you go. So my miracle said that she had her wages garnished, like she said, unbeknownst to her. And that's why my phone is dying, so I gotta charge it. That is why I went over the process of going discussing how it happened, because that is not a good place to be when you're like, unbeknownst to me, don't know where it happened. And this is not to make a mockery of what my miracle said, but that is usually the case when it comes to credit, debt, any type of financial setback that we have. Oh, snap. How did it happen? See, it was for a Home Depot card for $1,300. There you go. And that's, and like I said, a lot of people have said, oh, you're long-winded on your videos. The reason why I'm long-winded is because I'm trying to educate people. What you don't fix, you will face. And like I said, no credit repair company is going to share that with you, how you got in. If a person don't tell them, hey, my wages are being garnished, credit repair company is not going to know, because it's not on your credit report. And another piece that I wanted to talk about, well, there you go. I mean, and I understand that that's the reason why I started sharing information on credit and my story, because when my bank account got levied for $2,000, I felt the same way. Oh, snap, unbeknownst to me, they can do this? And I was like, and at that point, I didn't even know anything about law, federal law, state law. All I knew that somewhere there is some information out there that is going to help me to avoid this situation again. And that's why that was why my mission, oh man,